An incredible story of a rescue with an unlikely group being hailed as heroes this morning. How they jumped into action to save a couple pinned underneath a UTV in a remote part of Utah. Plus, it's hard to miss air so bad that you can feel it in your lungs. With our looming inversion, what each of us can do to limit that bad air we breathe. And the official end of an era for a BYU star, the big honor that Jimmer Fredette is about to get from his alma mater.
Live and streaming, this is KSL News Now.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us on this Thursday morning for KSL News Now. I'm Lori Pritchard. Matt Johnson is here with us. Let's talk about that inversion. Silver lining in that. We're still going to see it, but it might get a little better.
Yeah. So the silver lining here is that, yes, we could see a little bit of improvement, but it's not going to be completely out of here. Let's take a look at your bullet points for today. My thoughts for your Thursday. That is a weaker inversion, okay? Not going to be completely gone or broken, but it'll still be there, mild temperatures, and then potentially some better air quality headed into the weekend. I have a question mark there because it's not guaranteed, but there are some things at the upper levels of the atmosphere that could cause a little bit of inhalation, so we'll take it. Cache Valley, Weber, Box Elder counties, all into the moderate. Davis and Salt Lake counties with the highest population and the highest emissions, of course, you've got higher levels of pollution available for your air quality count. Today, there will be a little bit of improvement. I mean, it's subtle, but it'll be there. Air quality, definitely seeing some hazy sunshine, but temperatures will be in the 40s and 50s today. Park City, warmer than Salt Lake by about 9 degrees. That's impressive stuff.
All right, well, let's take a look at your traffic this morning because we do have a problem here in Davis County. It's had a big impact so far this morning. This is a look to I-15 at 400 North in Bountiful. There's a crash in the southbound lanes. It has been moved off to the right, but it's been blocking nearly all of those southbound lanes for about an hour now. As things do start to reopen, there may still be some residual delays, so plan accordingly if you commute through this area this morning. Now to our top story. What started as a hike turned into a life-saving rescue in Emery County after a group trained for the wilderness had to put those skills to the test. It really is an incredible story of heroism. News specialist Tyrese Boone is live with how it all unfolded.
Good morning. Deputies say that this rescue happened many miles away from help, but timing and preparation can mean the difference between life and death. A frightening scene in the canyons of Emery County. A side-by-side UTV flipped, pinning a husband and his wife underneath the vehicle. Deputies say the man was trapped at the waist in severe pain with the full weight of the machine crushing his lower body. That's when help arrived by chance. Leaders and students from Elements Wilderness Therapy Program out of Huntsville were hiking nearby when they heard screams for help.
Those students didn't hesitate to act. They worked together. They listened to instructions.
I think because of everything that happened and where everybody was, yes, it saved his life.
Now, deputies say the man was airlifted to a hospital with multiple broken bones, but is expected to make a full recovery. This morning, the sheriff's office says quick action and the right training made the difference. Reporting live, Tyrese Boone, KSL 5 News. Back to you guys in the studio.
Those kids were in the right place at the right time. Tyrese, thank you. Developing in southern Utah, the Washington County Sheriff's Office says a 19-year-old woman was found dead near Red Cliffs Recreation Area. The sheriff says someone reported Nicole Bennett as missing late Tuesday night. They located her car at the Red Cliffs trailhead. Search crews looked for her until early in the morning, and just after 7 a.m. on Wednesday, someone called dispatch to report that they had found her body. The sheriff's office says this is still an active investigation. A South Ogden man is facing an aggravated murder charge in what authorities are describing as an ambush-style shooting. James Rios allegedly shot his neighbor who died this week. The man's son was also hurt in the shooting, but did survive. The shooting led to a SWAT standoff where police say Rios also fired at them. He is currently being held in the Weber County Jail. And developing out of Helper, police say a man has died in a camp trailer fire. Officials and firefighters were dispatched to the fire around 7:30 Wednesday evening. They say the trailer was fully engulfed in flames when they showed up. They found that the man inside after pulling him out of the fire. Helper police say this is an ongoing investigation and have not released the cause of that blaze. Salt Lake City police have arrested a man accused of hindering the investigation into a mass shooting at a funeral that killed 2 people and hurt 6 others. This happened earlier last week outside a meeting house of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Rose Park. Police say 32-year-old Ryan Tute was involved in the fight that led to that shooting, but denied knowing anything when officers interviewed him. He was booked into the Salt Lake County Jail. Police are still searching for additional suspects in the shooting. A new law going after illegal massage businesses often tied to human trafficking. It's a problem officials say has been growing now for years. House Bill 278 was passed during the 2025 legislative session. It requires massage businesses to register with the state, have background checks for owners, and allow inspectors inside. Utah's Department of Commerce says often these workers in these kinds of illegal businesses are victims of human trafficking. Owners of legitimate businesses say they hope this new law restores trust. Right now, agents with the Drug Enforcement Administration now warning about a dramatic rise of fentanyl right here in the state of Utah. Last year, the DEA seized 2 million pills in our state alone. That's a 100% increase from the year before. Agents say it's evidence that drug cartels are not backing down.
Wholesale value for a pill is $1, $2. They can sell those for $10. There's just a lot of money to be made.
Agents say fentanyl pills are largely unpredictable, with many containing fatal doses. They say Utahns should avoid taking any pills that are not from a doctor or a pharmacy. Several police departments are parting ways with the combined Box Elder County Dispatch Center to instead join Weber counties. The Box Elder County Sheriff claims that move could put people in danger. He posted on Facebook saying when departments are divided by different communication centers, they are not a united force. Chiefs from Brigham City, Tremont, Garland, and Perry fired back, saying radios in Utah are required to work across agency, and their concerns with the Box Elder Dispatch Center started with a data breach.
Box Elder's dispatch center operated off pen and paper for nearly 2 weeks, even though other area dispatch centers offered to take on those responsibilities for them.
The police chief say the only change residents will notice is faster response times. Well, if you've been outside this week, you have surely noticed the haze. And as our air quality plummets, experts are providing solutions on how to cut down on breathing in those pollutants. People can struggle with shortness of breath and irritation in the nose, eyes, and even lungs. The inversion is particularly concerning for vulnerable groups like children, the elderly, and those with respiratory conditions. So there are a couple ways you can help reduce those pollutants that you are breathing in.
You definitely want to get those air purifiers running, switch out your furnace filter if you haven't in a while. Ensure that if you're exercising or doing anything out of doors that you limit that exposure.
UCare says it can also help to wear those N95 masks to cut down on what you breathe if you need it. Important things to remember as we wait for a storm to come in and break up that inversion. And Matt Johnson, are we going to see any storms? Do we have any in the forecast?
You know, we do, but it's a solid 7 to 8, maybe even 9 days out. Right now, we've got haze over the valley, though it's not as thick as yesterday morning. So improvement is improvement. It's not completely gone, but I wanted to show you the AQI numbers. Park City, of course, at higher elevations on the Wasatch Back. Hey, we're at an AQI of 6, green air quality. In the Bountiful Bench, it gets a little worse. West Valley with the worst of it at an AQI of 112. And then the Provo Fire Department down in Utah County, right around 70 AQI. Okay, high pressure, the core of it, where most of the sinking suppressing air is moving off that west coast. That could allow for a little bit of expansion of the inversion layer. I've also got a little bit of wind in the forecast at higher levels of the atmosphere. That may just glide over Utah and help to lift the valley floor. Right now, I've got 46 in Salt Lake for your forecast high tomorrow and into Saturday. Weekend not bad, mid-40s generally, but we could see improvement in the air quality. We'll talk more about that coming up.
All right, Matt, we'll check back in with you. To national headlines now, just moments ago, President Trump threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act to call in troops to confront protesters in Minnesota. That news as the Department of Homeland Security says a federal officer in Minneapolis shot a man in the leg after the man, quote, violently assaulted that officer. The shooting comes 1 week to the day since the fatal ICE shooting of protester Renee Good. DHS said the subject, a Venezuelan man who is in the country illegally, fled in his vehicle during a, quote, targeted traffic stop, then crashed into a parked car and then fled on foot. When the officer caught up to him, he allegedly resisted arrest. DHS said 2 other individuals attacked the officer with a snow shovel and a broom handle and were taken into custody. The officer and initial subject were both hospitalized. Here in Utah, State Senator Nate Bluin is sponsoring a bill to keep ICE operations out of sensitive areas. We're talking churches, hospitals, or even courthouses. His bill would also ban federal law enforcement from using facial coverings. It's just one of many bills lawmakers are set to discuss when the legislative session begins on Monday. And this morning, the U.S. is suspending immigrant visa processing from 75 countries for an indefinite amount of time. The affected nations include Brazil, Colombia, Egypt, Haiti, Somalia, and Russia. An important distinction here is the suspension only applies to immigrant visas, like those required to work here in the U.S. The visas students and tourists use to enter the country are considered non-immigrant. The new suspension begins Wednesday, and some of the countries are already on the Trump administration's expanded travel ban list. This morning, we're learning new details surrounding the arrest of actor Kiefer Sutherland after getting arrested Monday for allegedly assaulting a rideshare driver. A source close to the investigation told NBC News the altercation was verbal and not physical. The Emmy-winning actor was ultimately taken into custody and booked on suspicion of felony criminal threats, a charge one Los Angeles attorney said is, quote, really serious. Splashdown overnight and a first for NASA. A mission had to come to an end early after a medical issue aboard the International Space Station. NASA SpaceX Crew 11 splashed down off the coast of California earlier this morning. The return was prompted by a medical issue involving one of its crew members. NASA says the astronaut had been stable aboard the space station, but the agency decided to bring the entire crew home for medical evaluation. And this morning, we need to let you know about a potentially deadly cheese recall. Stores in 20 states, including right here in Utah, are pulling grated Pecorino Romano cheese products from the shelves. That's after the FDA testing found possible listeria at a processing plant in New Jersey. The brands impacted include Boar's Head and Sam's Club. And the CDC is warning of a multi-state outbreak of salmonella infections linked to the Live It Up Super Green supplement powder. According to the CDC's website, at least one person has gotten sick from this in Utah. At least 44 others have been sickened across 21 states. No deaths have been reported, and officials say to throw out the supplement or return it to the store if you have it. The nation's largest cell service provider says it's back up and running this morning after an outage that left tens of thousands of its customers without service. Across the country, Verizon customers were unable to call, text, or even scroll for a large portion of the day on Wednesday. Down Detector, which is a website that tracks user-submitted reports of outages, says New York, Philadelphia, Houston were the hardest hit areas. Verizon never provided a reason why that outage occurred in the first place. Gold and silver are surging in price, data showing that they're both up over 20% this year alone. Silver and gold are considered safe havens against things like geopolitical tensions, inflation, general economic concerns. That means they tend to do well when investors are worried. Other metals like copper, aluminum, lithium, and zinc are getting pricier as well. That could impact prices of consumer goods since they are used in many different products. YouTube is giving parents more control over how their teens use the video platform. YouTube announced parents can now set time limits for viewing short-form videos on teen accounts. Those time limits range from 0 to 2 hours. Parents will also be able to set custom bedtime and take a break reminders. So if you happen to share a phone with your child, YouTube says it will make it easier to switch between teen and adult accounts. All right, let's get back to Matt Johnson and talk about the haze out there. I can see it right behind you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yesterday morning, the sun came up on the skyline of Salt Lake City, and you can see that sun kind of gleaming off the buildings, but the haze making for a nasty sunrise. This one sent in from Brant Justinson. Get the word right there. And air quality has improved a touch since then. So you've got yellow and orange sensors going off into the Tremont, Box Elder, Cache County. You get further south, how about the Wasatch Back, Morgan, north to Ogden Valley? We're in the green. There's just not a ton of pollution out there anyways. But along the Wasatch, we've got Weber into Davis, Salt Lake counties. What we're seeing this morning is kind of fascinating. The East Bench, the east side of these valleys, is seeing cleaner air because we're getting those canyon winds coming down. They're not strong, but a little bit of canyon drainage wind entraining some cleaner air. The central and west half of the valley, worse air quality. As you move into the Provo and Utah County area, a similar phenomenon going on this morning. Those winds should relax and the haze should fill back in by afternoon. But high pressure being off the coast is going to allow for some small disturbances to graze northern Utah. Watch how the winds at upper levels at around 20,000 feet, they increase on Friday. That over the state of Utah could allow for a little lift along the valley floor. The winds do relax though as we head into the late weekend and into next week. This will take us into Tuesday. We've got a little wind to our north, but eventually we'll finally get that return of stronger flow above right when we get a cold storm in here by next Thursday, Friday. So we still have to wait for an absolute clean, clear cut of the inversion, but I think we could see some improvement this weekend. Temperatures down in southern Utah along with the blue skies. You've got 40s and 50s. In fact, a lot of us in the 50s actually, and some 60s for Washington County. 50 in Heber City. The Wasatch Back will be warmer than the Wasatch Front. Look at Morgan, Park City, even into Oakley. You'll be in the 50s, whereas the Wasatch be in the 40s. St. George, 60s. In fact, the red number today is 10 above the normal. Sunshine and potentially a little bit of haze at times. Wasatch Front, 46 to 43. I've taken the haze out of Saturday. I don't think it's going to be completely gone, but I wanted to show you that because it's going to help illustrate that we could see some improvement over the weekend. The haze fills back in next week, but yeah, next Thursday, Friday, maybe we could get something in here.
Let's hope. All right, Matt, thank you. Funeral services have been announced for the inspirational teen who survived a deadly shooting. Shaw Ray will be laid to rest on Saturday after passing away in his sleep earlier this week. He was the only survivor in a shooting that claimed his entire family back in 2024. He was left blind, but went on to graduate high school and just began college at the University of Utah. Ray's funeral will be held Saturday morning at 10 with a viewing 1 hour before. Both will be held at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Meeting House at 2280 South, 300 East in Salt Lake City. Utah leaders say they're seeing positive trends in the state's long-running effort to prevent underage drinking.
The data shows that kids who drink while their brains are still developing, they can experience lifelong consequences from that.
During the Parents Empowered Month, leaders focus on helping parents start conversations early, especially with their children ages 9 to 13. They say Utah is reporting some of the lowest youth alcohol use rates in the country. The organization reminds parents that they're the strongest influence in their children's lives. Utah Attorney General Derek Brown is calling artificial intelligence the issue of our time. That was his focus during the first meeting of a newly formed AI task force. Brown co-founded the task force with North Carolina Attorney General Jeff Jackson. They say their mission is to balance innovation with proper safeguards, especially for children. Attorneys general from around the country joined the meeting along with industry experts. New this morning, a statewide healthcare cost and trust survey is revealing that Utahns are struggling with high costs and foregoing treatment because of it. Conducted in July of last year, the survey from One Utah Health Collaborative shows nearly a third of people skipped or even delayed a medical visit in the last year because of cost concerns. It also shows that about 60% of Utahns would be unable to pay for an unexpected medical bill without incurring debt. 1 in 10 people are also foregoing basic necessities because of the cost. Utah is leading the country in protecting babies against RSV. This follows a major education and outreach effort by Intermountain Children's Health.
Able to really give that to many, many children in their first year of life and have been able to prevent a lot of RSV, and hospitalizations have been very different.
Back in 2024, they started a campaign reaching out to expectant mothers, pediatricians, OBs, and clinics across Utah, educating them on RSV vaccination guidelines. Expectant mothers in their third trimester can get the vaccine and then pass those antibodies to their babies. For babies whose moms didn't get the shot, they can get the shot before the beginning of RSV season. Utah Board of Higher Education launching a search for Utah Valley University's next president. Astrid Jimenez is stepping down from that position. On Wednesday, she said the last year has been tough. Her husband of 37 years passed away last February. Then, of course, in September, the campus was rocked with the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. Still, she says no one specific thing has made her choose to leave.
Time is finite, so that's been on my mind. How do I carve out more time for me, my children, and a lot of creative pursuits that I actually want to do.
Jimenez is officially leaving on May 1st at the end of the semester. Months after a devastating fire in downtown Salt Lake City, the first of 3 restaurants destroyed has an official reopening date. White Horse Spirits and Kitchen announced its doors will open again on January 29th at 5 o'clock. Reservations are encouraged, but officials say they will have space for walk-ins. The 2 other neighboring restaurants sustained much more damage. Owners hope to reopen Whiskey Street later on this year. London Bell doesn't expect to open back up until at least 2027. Cougar Nation will need to mark their calendars. On February 14th at the Marriott Center, BYU will be honoring the iconic Jimmer Fredette by retiring his number 32 jersey. He will be the 5th all-time BYU basketball player to have his number retired, joining the ranks of people like Mel Hutchins and Danny Ainge. All right, let's get back to Matt Johnson and talk about our forecast out there.
All right, taking a look at that webcam, looking over Salt Lake Valley, you can see, well, the skyscrapers are visible, but the haze is still there. You can kind of see that gunk just above the valley floor there, and that's the way it's going to stay today, though we could see some improvement. In fact, as you look over the valley, there is haze, and it's not as thick as yesterday. So silver lining there, 27's the temperature, 89% humidity, dew point's 24. So an indication that we do have some moisture within this layer. But Logan to Salt Lake, temperatures in the mid-40s today, looking at moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups air. 55 in Park City with clean air. Almost might feel spring-like today, Lori.
Right. Thanks, Matt. After 150 million years, the Allosaurus is welcome to Mountain America Museum of Ancient Life at Thanksgiving Point. This month, you can meet this apex predator up close, learn how paleontologists restored the fossil, and explore what made it one of the most powerful predators of its time. It was discovered in 2021. This rare fossil dates back 150 million years. You can celebrate at the museum with hands-on activities, expert-led learning stations, as well as special programs. The children will love it. Thanks so much for joining us on this Thursday morning for KSL News Now. We'll leave you with a look at that haze in Salt Lake City. Don't forget, you can check our KSL weather app for air quality down in your own neighborhood. Thanks for being here with us. Have a great day.